Hi everybody! Today I want to show you some instruments that I've been making while we're out of school. And I've posted the directions for these and more on my Google Classroom. So if you'd like those directions, just look them up. And if you have any questions or if you run into any problems and need some solutions, just send me a message. The first one that I want to show you is a percussion instrument. And percussion instruments are those that we hit, shake, or scrape. And in this case, I made ones that you scrape together. They're called sand blocks. Real sand blocks are blocks of wood that have sandpaper attached to them. But I decided to use macaroni and cheese boxes. I taped the boxes up, wrapped them in the wrapping paper that I had laying around my house. You could use construction paper, drawing paper, you can use newspaper. If you have some paper bags laying around, you could wrap it with those, even coloring book paper. I wrapped with wrapping paper that I had, and then I took 2 pieces of sandpaper. I measured and cut them out so they would fit the inside of the box. And then I used glue, not Elmer's glue, I used super glue to make sure they wouldn't fall off. You could also use a hot glue gun. Once you get that glue on there, you let it dry. You put the 2 boxes, sandpaper side together, and you scrape. That's one instrument. Another one that I made from the percussion family is a homemade shaker. This is a tin can that I had laying around. You fill it on the inside with any kind of dry ingredient. You could use seeds, you could use popcorn kernels, you could use rice. If you had buttons, if you had change laying around, if you wanted to go outside and find some rocks, you could do that. You could do dried cereal. What you want to do is you want to tape over one side of your container. And you can see that I use masking tape on the top. To do that, I went across and down, okay? Horizontal, vertical line, so it looked like a plus sign. And then I go diagonal over that plus sign, and I keep going so that I don't have any holes on the top. And then I use permanent marker to draw a design on the end. You could even put stickers on there. And you'll see that I have electrical tape around the top for design. You could even use that on the top. One of the things that I did, though, inside of this container is I put it on top of wax paper, and I traced a circle that was wider than the can, and then I cut that circle out, and I put it on the top side, and that's what I taped down to the can, because I don't want what I put inside to stick to the tape. If you don't have paper that you can put on the top and cover up, you can do it with just the tape. You're just going to want to put more ingredients inside so that when you shake and they start to stick, there's some left inside. Before you tape up, you're going to fill it with whatever ingredient you find. Put your hand on top and shake it until you get the sound that you want. What I like about using a tin can is that I'm going to get 2 different sounds depending on how I'm playing with it. If I have everything on the bottom and I hold onto the top and I shake, that's the sound I get. But if I tip it upside down and I tape it, I'm going to get a different kind of sound. I just used plain paper. I decorated it, I wrapped it around, I taped one side to the can, continue to go around, and then I used Scotch tape. And then, of course, I have my electrical tape to add a little bit more of dimension. The great thing about using a tin can is that not only can you use it as a shaker, but you can tap on it and use it as a drum. You can also use tin cans to make string instruments. This one has 5 rubber bands on it. So if it was a guitar, it would be a mandolin. If I had 6, that's a real guitar. If it had 4, that could be a banjo. If I had 3, that's a dulcimer. When you're making a stringed instrument, a lot of times people will use tissue boxes, and they'll take the plastic out of the top. They'll put rubber bands around and they'll strum or pluck. The reason that I like to use cans or plastic containers is because they don't tend to crush. If you want to make a guitar and you choose to do 6 different rubber bands, sometimes the tightness just makes the whole box collapse. That's not going to happen on a tin can. And I could have put more strings on the top. I just like the ones that I had, and I stopped at 5. And you'll see that they're all different rubber bands, so they make all different sounds. I wrap them around, tape them so that they're not going to come off no matter how hard I strum. Then this is old wallpaper that I had laying around the house that I taped to my can. You can see the rubber bands are on the bottom, and it doesn't matter that they overlap on the bottom. You just don't want them to overlap on the top. You need to put rubber bands on a container that is hollow because, like all stringed instruments, they get the strength of their sound from being on a body. The vibration that's made from these rubber bands is going to go in the can, bounce around, and come out so you hear them louder. That's what mine sounds like. Of course, yours will sound different if you have different rubber bands. Experiment. And the great thing about making it with a tin can is that I can take this wrap off, I can pull the rubber bands off, and then I can put new ones on and just get different sounds every single time. I think that tin can guitars tend to sound a lot like kalimbas. And kalimbas are a percussion instrument that are usually made from half of a coconut shell. They have a piece of wood glued to the top with a hole in it. And then there's metal tines, small skinny pieces of metal that are attached to the top. And then you use your thumbs to press down on them. And they vibrate and make sound that sounds a lot like this. The last instrument that I wanted to show you, which is my favorite one and is the easiest one to make, is a chicken drum. All you need is a plastic container. This one came from cottage cheese that I had in my house. I took the label off. Doesn't matter if you leave the label on, but I took it off because I wanted to make the outside of it have a face. So I used permanent marker to make the eyes, and then I used orange paper that I had, and I glued it to the outside to make a beak. You want to poke a hole inside of your canister, and then you're going to take a string, any string you have laying around the house, and you're going to tie it to a toothpick. And then you're going to push the string through the container, and the toothpick is going to keep it from coming out. Then what you need to do is wet this string. If it's not wet, it's not going to make the right sound. And once you've got the string wet, you're simply going to hold on to the can or canister in one hand, and then you're going to pull down on the string like this. You kind of have to experiment to figure out how tight. You don't want to go too tight or too loose with your grip. And of course, your chicken drum will sound different than mine if you use a different kind of container. Any kind of plastic container will do for this. I've never tried it with a tin can, but if you decide to try to make it with a tin can because you happen to have one laying around and you have an adult who can help you poke a hole, try it out, take a video or take pictures, and let me know how it sounds. In fact, if you decide to make any of the instruments in this video or the ones that I've posted on my Google Classroom, definitely tell me how they came out, take pictures, take videos, and share them with me. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.